Okay, so this is the continuation of our new topic. So this is digital literacy, internet security exercise one, common threats on the internet. So with technological advancement, cyber threats have also evolved. The attackers are always a step ahead and creating new methods of attack. In the past, the server firewalls, routers, etc. were the target of the attackers. In the last few years, the target point has changed to the weakest link in cybersecurity, the end user. There are two different types of end users, personal users and business users. The damage to each differs, but the methods of attack are usually the same. For example, social engineering is one of the most common methods of attacking the end user. In social engineering, someone may pretend to call from a bank or ask the police and try to ask you for personal information, which is then used in the attack. The damage to a personal user is limited to that user only. However, the severity of the problem increases with the business user. The entire organization is at risk if the attack on the personal user is successful. This is because the attacker, once he or she gets inside a network, can use the privileged escalation method to gain control of the network or can steal data. In reality, most of the time, the users are unaware of security issues or have not been appraised. Most organizations treat cybersecurity as a technological problem. A large sum of money is invested in the technological technology to safeguard the networks and its devices. However, the weakest link, the end user, is not protected in most cases. Okay, so let's continue. There have been incidents in large corporations where employees was tricked into revealing the user's account information, and attackers use that information to target the entire network. Even if an organization invests heavily in putting up the best defense systems to tackle the cyber threats, they must also train the end users with the basic practices to handle the cyber threats. Okay, so user mistakes are one of the major security concerns today. The majority of cyber attacks are possible due to a human error. This fact highlights the importance of educating the end user about data security. It is necessary to educate end users about some of the key aspects of system security. So the first bullet is social engineering. Second one is password protection. Third one is device security. And the last one is physical security. In this exercise, you will learn about the common type of threats on the internet. Please refer to your course material or use your favorite search engine to research this topic in more detail. So learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you will be able to learn about malware, learn about social engineering, explore and gather information for social engineering. And the last one is learn about the denial of service, which is DOS attack. Next one is learn about the distributed denial of service attack. Next is learn about zero day. Next is learn about man in the middle attack. Then next one is learn about the brute force attack. Next is learn about the dictionary attack. Next one is learn about the rainbow table. Then the last one is learn about the spoofing attack. So your devices, you will be using the following devices in this lab. So please power on this now. PLA B110, Windows 10 domain member. So let's power on PLA B110. So at the moment, let's wait for it to load. So learn about malware. So let's read this up while the PLAB Winton is loading. So malware is a type of software that is designed to harm a system. So malware can cause the following: system lockups, system slowness, application crashes, application generating unexpected output. Okay, so we are connected to PLAB Winton. So continue. Malware can be identified based on its behavior with the sophistication of technology increasing the malware is advancing. Malware is divided into a number of categories based on its nature. The different types of malware is listed below. So the first one is ransomware. Ransomware locks the system or mobile devices and prevents the user from accessing any application or data. The user is then demanded ransom for unlocking the system or mobile device. The data on the system is encrypted by the ransomware and prevents the user from accessing it. To give access back to the user or to decrypt the data, a ransom is demanded. Unless the ransom is paid, access to the data will not be granted. If the data is encrypted, it will not be decrypted back. There are multiple ways in which ransomware is distributed to the users. One of the common methods is to deliver it via email, which can carry infected PDF or Word files. The email can also carry URL links, which users click to reach a malicious website. Another common method is to make use of malvertising. In this method, online advertising is used to deliver ransomware to the user system. Hardly any interaction from the user is required. The user are redirected to malicious websites which use drive-by downloading method to drop ransomware on the user's system. There are three key types of ransomware. Scareware is the type of ransomware pop-ups are displayed on the user system. The pop-up states that the user system has been infected with malware and the user must pay to remove the malware. If the user does not pay, then the user system is bombarded with pop-ups. User's data is not at risk with this kind of ransomware. Screen lockers is in this method of ransomware, the screen is locked at the time of system boot up. The screen typically displays a message from the FBI or some legal entity. The message includes a warning that illegal activity has occurred on this system, and the user must pay a fine. Encrypting ransomware. In this method of ransomware, the user's data is encrypted. A message is displayed that data is now encrypted, and the user must pay ransomware for encrypting the data. The payment is generally demanded in cryptocurrency. So, next one is Trojan. Trojan is malware that provides unauthorized access to the user system. In the In the form of legitimate application, the usual methodology is to trick the user using social engineering to load a malicious application into their system. After the malicious application is loaded to the user system, the attacker gains unauthorized access to the system. Usually, the Trojan is an attachment sent via email. As the receiver of the email executes the attachment, access for the attacker is established. Once this is done, the attackers can perform various activities such as delete data or gain backdoor access to the system. There are different types of Trojans. Some of the commonly used Trojans are backdoor. A backdoor malware creates a backdoor entry to a system. This allows the attacker to remotely control the user system without his or her knowledge. The attacker has complete control of the system, which means the attacker can perform any activity on a system, including deleting data. This type of Trojan is typically used for infecting several systems and then using them in the botnet to perform a distributed denial of service attacks. Next bullet is exploit. This type of malware targets the vulnerabilities of an application or the operating system. Depending on the type of exploit, different outcomes can result, such as the administrative control of the application. Then the last bullet is rootkit. Rootkits are designed to hide malicious codes or activities within the system so that they cannot be tracked. With the help of a rootkit, the attacker is able to extend its control duration on the system. Next one is virus. A virus is a piece of code designed to cause changes to the way a particular application behaves. A virus can insert its code into the application or attach itself to the application when the infected application is executed. The virus is triggered. If the infected application is not used, then the virus remains quiet and does not execute. When the virus is triggered, it can cause damage to the system, such as destroying data. Different types of viruses can behave in different ways, such as stealing data, stealing password, perform keystroke login, deleting data, sending spam emails to several contacts. Botnet. The term botnet is a combination of two terms, robot and network. Essentially, it is a network of bots which are Trojan-infected computers that are controlled by the attacker in the botnet. Several hundred or thousands of computers are controlled and used for malicious activities such as distributed denial of service attacks, which is in short DDoS. The system in both are known as bots, which can be the system known as bots or network devices or combination of both and are connected to a master server. Once the master server has control over the systems, the owner of the botnet can be used to perform various activities. Some of these activities are performing the DDoS attack to bring down server and websites. Next one is spamming millions of users on the internet. Last one is displaying banner ads in users' web browsers that are designed and targeted at them. Not all botnets are malicious. They can also be used for good purposes such as relay chat. Next one is Worm. Worm is a piece of malicious software which would duplicate itself on one or more network systems. It is designed to replicate itself, creating the multiple copies such as software could reside on a system or traverse over a network. If the quantity of worms residing on a system becomes too high, it could infect the performance parameters of the system. If the worms were traveling over the network, then it would consume the bandwidth on that network. Worms too do not perform any malicious activity as other types of malware would. However, their presence in large quantities affects the system and or network performance. Next one is spyware. Spyware spies on a user behavior or data. Spying on the user's behavior could mean observing their surfing habits, etc. When it comes to spying on data, it could mean credit card information, authentication information, etc. Spyware could be sent to the user's system along with the legitimate software, although spyware is not a part of that particular software program. The core intent of the spyware is to gather confidential information such as passwords and send the information to the attacker. Next one is learn about social engineering. Social engineering is an act of getting people to perform an activity such as revealing information. People are made to believe that they are doing a harmless activity. However, the true consequences of that activity are hidden from them. Social engineering is carried out by attackers for various reasons. For example, gathering confidential information, gaining unauthorized access to a protected area, etc. By using this gathered information or by gaining unauthorized access, the attacker then performs activities that are harmful to a user. Social engineering is all about understanding an individual's psychology and using a systematic way to influence people so that they reveal their personal or confidential information. It can involve misleading a person to believe that he or she should reveal the information when asked in simpler terms. The attacker manipulates the situation and words to gain access to the information for their own benefit. For example, you might receive a call from the unknown number and person stating that he or she is calling on behalf of your bank and your debit card has been blocked. If you want the card unblocked, then you need to provide certain information such as the online password or ATM pin along with other card details. The caller manipulates the words to scare you into believing that if you do not reveal this information, your card will remain blocked. If the caller had asked these details directly, you would have never provided. However, as the caller was convincing, you fall prey to her tricks. A social engineering attacks is performed almost using the same process as a penetration test. To perform a social engineering attack, the attacker has to perform reconnaissance first to gather more information about the targets. Using the gathered information, he or she then performs the social engineering attacks. The information is usually gathered using passive methods such as scanning a web server or searching for a person on a search engine. In social engineering, an attacker usually knows some details of the target, and the rest of the information is gathered through various sources. Social engineering threats vectors telephone to connect with people and convince them to reveal confidential information. Second, bullet is gathering information through various mediums such as an online chat session or a website. Third one is dumpster diving, finding the information in the dumpsters and close by areas for discarded information. Next one is shoulder surfing, looking over someone's shoulder for information while he or she is working on their computer. Next one is reverse social engineering. An attacker would have already done reconnaissance using methods such as social engineering. It is a method in which the attacker convinces the user to call him or her back. Next one is persuasion, a convincing someone to provide confidential information. Anatomy on a social engineering attack. The anatomy of social engineering attacks consists of four key elements. First one is information gathering. Know basic details of your target, simply name and email address. Next one, identity attack vector. Identity, the method that you will use to conduct the social engineering attack depending on the target individual or company. You may use different methods. For example, if you intend to target a company, dumpster diving may prove to be more useful than making a phone call. You can easily find information using dumpster diving, however, methods can differ. The developer pretends pretend to be someone trustworthy to find information about the target. Last one is perform the attack. After getting enough information, initiate the attack. Then next one is phishing. Phishing is an act of obtaining confidential information from the user by using fake identity. The attacker poses as legitimate and trustworthy entity who is seeking information for genuine reasons. However, their identity is never disclosed if the user provides the required information thinking that the attacker is an authorized entity. Thus, the attacker uses this information for harmful activities. For example, transferring money from the bank account using card information, etc. Generally, phishing takes place through messages. An attacker would pose as an unauthorized entity and demand information in reply to the mail. If the information is provided, it is used for harmful purposes. Phishing can be conducted through various methods. Okay, so in person, through a malicious website, through email malware attachments. Reasons for successful phishing attacks: lack of knowledge and ignorance are probably the two big reasons why users fall into the phishing trap. A number of users who are not tech savvy get lured by an email that asks them to log on to a website to claim a large amount of money as a prize. They are requested to provide their username and password on the website, which is spoofed one the look and feel of the fake website resemble the original website. but users do not pay much attention to it, not even the URL. What looks like the URL of the original website. For example, your bank is abcbank.com and the email contained the URLs acbank, acbbank.com. There are chances that you will overlook this phishing and its types. Watering hole. Watering hole is a more complex type of phishing attack. In this type of attack, the attacker infects a website that is often visited by the target's users. The website is infected with a malware that is injected into the user system. When the user connects to the website, it is a multi-phase attack in which the attacker first profiles the target, who are employees of an organization or a government agency. In the profiling stage, the attacker learns about the website these employees frequently visit. Then the website is infected with malware. When the user visits the website, their systems are infected with malware. The majority of phishing attacks are performed using emails and mostly in the form of spam. Phishers create a database of millions of email accounts, usually from social networking websites, and then sends emails to these accounts. Over the years, spam emails have been well written and well designed, making them more convincing. Operate along with the messaging spam. SMS has picked up its pace on the mobile phones. So whaling, it is similar to phishing and spear phishing, but the size and of the target is much bigger. Whale phishing is meant to target high-profile candidates such as CEO, or CIO in an organization, or maybe a well-known and established person such as film star. High-profile people have high-profile secrets to keep, personal or business related, which can be used against them. Remember, phishing is just another form of social engineering, and your convincing powers plays a major role. The attacker may create a sense of urgency in an email and force a person to click a URL embedded in the email. Let's take an example. Using whale phishing, you could get your hands on an executive's official email and of official bank account credential. You cannot only approve the monetary transactions but also perform them. To prevent whale phishing, you need to ensure that you build enough technical and detection controls not only in the office, but they also need to be secure at home as well as when they are using mobile phones. Next one is spear phishing. Spear phishing, unlike phishing, targets only specific individuals and companies. This entity could be an individual or several individuals. An attacker may target a top executive of an organization to steal information, and spear phishing may be used to install malware on his or her system and eventually get into the network. Spear phishing emails are usually designed to look like they originate from a well-known company or a website. For example, as a top executive of a firm, you may receive an email from eBay asking you to reset your account password. The email includes a URL to click the and states that there have been unauthorized logins attempts and thus you should reset your password, otherwise your account will be locked. In this example, the email was designed to create sense of urgency. Impersonation. Impersonation is the act of pretending to be someone else in the cybersecurity context. In impersonation is using a fake identity to impersonate. The impersonator is an attacker who shows a fake identity to the person being attacked. The attacker would use a fake identity that would sound trustworthy to the victim. If the attacker is wrongly identified as a trustworthy entity, the victim is likely to disclose confidential information to the attacker. This information could be passwords, information related to financial transactions, etc. This information can be used by the impersonator to perform harmful activities. So next one is shoulder surfing. Shoulder surfing is stealing information by looking over someone's shoulder for information while he or she is working on a system. A mobile phone or a tablet, shoulder surfing generally does not require a high level of technical expertise. It rather requires careful observation of the environment to decide how to surf. Shoulder surfing can be carried out more easily and even from a distant location. Electronic gadgets like closed-circuit cameras are used. Shoulder surfing is generally carried out for obtaining information like passwords, credit card information, etc. Next one is tailgating. Tailgating is an act of gaining unauthorized access. Such access is gained by following a legitimate user of a software or hardware. In tailgating, the attackers usually takes an undue advantage of a legitimate user. One way of tailgating could be accessing the live session of the user who has not logged out properly. Another way could be gaining unauthorized access to an ongoing user session. Dumpster diving. Dumpster diving in the software security context is generally scanning a heap of discarded information and finding information finding useful information from it. This information is used for carrying out an attack on the user system whose information was scanned. Dumpster diving is not only about discarded information. Dumpster diving could have involved activities like reading notes prepared by users to understand their behavior, which would help determine how and when the attack should be carried out. Learn about the denial of services, which is DOS attack. Denial of services DOS attack, as the name implies, is intended to deny legitimate users access to the websites and other online services. Most DOS attacks exploit vulnerabilities in applications on communication protocols. Sometimes a legitimate activity can be mistaken as a DOS attack. This would be due to a very large number of legitimate users trying to access the server at the same time. In the same of a DOS attack, the end result is the same, though for a different reason. The basic purpose of a denial service attack, which is DOS attack in short, is to block legitimate users from accessing the system. The attacker does it without actually accessing the system. In more in most other cyber attacks, the attacker's primary motive is to breach the security of your network to access vulnerable or sensitive information. However, in DOS attacks, the purpose is to make the target website and server unavailable to legitimate users. Every computer system has some capacity limits in terms of the number of concurrent users, the speed of data transmission, and the size of files it can handle. If such capacity limits are exceeded, the computer system stops responding. Responding, for example, if a web server is flooded with requests in a short span of time beyond what it can handle, the web server will stop responding. It is the basic strategy behind any DOS attack. In its simplest form, the DOS attacker sends a flood of data packets to the target system, forcing the system to slow down as soon as the attacker stops sending the packets. The target system regains its normal speed, but the bombardment continues relentlessly. The target system eventually crashes and shutdowns. It is easy to block a DOS attack if a single computer is used to launch the attack. The IP address of the attacker can easily be traced and blocked. However, the attacker could launch an attack from a spoofed IP address. Moreover, to sustain a flood of data packets from a single computer to exhaust the resources of the target system is not easy. So next one is learn about the distributed denial of service attack. A DOS attack is one of the most common attacks on a system. These days, it is rarely just a single computer that is used to launch a DOS attack. Defending against such an attack and identifying the IP address of the attacker is easy. distributed denial of service, which is in short DDoS, attack is far more sophisticated and dangerous. So the DOS versus DDoS, the DOS attack typically uses one computer and one internet connection to flood a targeted system or resource. On the other hand, DDoS attacks are launched from multiple connected devices distributed across the internet. Such multi-device barrages and are generally harder to deflect, mostly due to the sheer volume of devices involved. Unlike single source, which is DOS attack, the DOS attacks tend to target the network infrastructure in an attempt to saturate it with huge volumes of traffic. The DDoS attacks also differ in the manner of their execution. Broadly speaking, the DOS attacks are launched using custom written scripts or DOS tools, etc. low orbit on Canon, while the DOS attacks are launched using botnets. Large clusters are connected devices, etc. Cell phones, PCs, or routers, infected with malware that allows remote control by an attacker. In DOS, multiple compromised systems on the internet launch is synchronized. Attacks on a single target, the excessive influx of incoming messages to the target system forces it to shut down, leading to the denial of service to legitimate users of the targeted system. So, classifications of DDoS attacks. DDoS attacks can be classified based on the network protocol stack to the attack targets. The communication methodology used by the attacker. Third bullet is what the attacker is targeting to exploit. Next one is the attack method used. The attack rate dynamics of the attack. The next one is the degree of automation used in the attack. Network protocol stack based on the protocol of the Open System Interconnection, which is in short OSI model. The attack exploits DDoS attacks fall into the following two categories. The first bullet is network transport level attacks. Then the second one is application level attacks. This classification is the most widely used in the IT industry. So methodology of communication based on how the master computer attacker's system communicates with the bot's compromised computers under the remote control of master computers, which is the DOS attack, can be classified as agent handler based attacks, internet relay chat, IRC based attacks, web based attacks, P2P based attacks. Okay, and the next one is exploits. Based on what the attacker is targeting to exploit, DDoS attacks can be classified as bandwidth depletion attacks, resource depletion attacks, protocol explanation attacks, form pack based attacks. So the attack method, one of them classifying DDoS attack is based on the kind of attack method used. Flooding attacks, logical attacks. In flooding attacks, malformed packets disguised is legitimate and valid are sent to exhaust resources like bandwidth, disk space, CPU, time, etc. Flooding attacks, also sometimes referred to as brute force attacks are performed using TCP. Logical attacks exploit the vulnerabilities of some protocol in the targeted system. For example, in TCP protocol, a substantial amount of memory space is blocked immediately upon the receipt of a TCP SYN request. The attacker floods the target system with the multiple connection requests, which are never completed. The resources of the target system exhausted in the process. Next one is attack the rate dynamics. Depending on the attack rate dynamics, the DDoS attack can be classified into constant rate, variable rate, the rate at which bots, zombies, and send malicious packages can be constant or may vary. The constant rate can be either high or low. in high rate multiple zombies synchronize attacks and sends large volumes of packages at the same time coordinated time. The slow rate attacks packets are sent slowly and stealthily so they cannot easily be detected. A variable rate attacks uses a variation of slow and fast rates, and thus it is very difficult to detect this attack. So degree of automation, DDoS attack find vulnerable computers on the internet, exploits the vulnerability and recruits them to become bots, zombies. These bots are used to launch an attack on the target based on the degree of automation used in each phase, which is the DDoS can be classified as manual, semi-automatic, and automatic. Then task 1, explore and gather information for social engineering. Information gathering is a key part of an attack. To guard against these attacks, it is important to understand the kind of information the attackers might gather and use to gain the confidence of others while impersonating the chosen person. In this task, you will log into My Book, a website hosted by Practice Labs that on this website, you will review a profile and explore the types of details that an attacker might use for social engineering. So step 1, ensure that the devices mentioned in the introduction is to this module are powered on. So connect to PLAB Wintel. Then click the Internet Explorer icon on the taskbar. Okay, so moving on to step 2. In the address bar at the top of the Internet Explorer window, type http://mybook. Let's just copy it and paste it. Then the MacBook website is displayed. Before we do that, let's click enter. Okay, so the profile of Philip Nomad is displayed. This page publicly displays the recent activities regarding his life. Notice that Philip is a front-end software engineer and has 1,325 followers. This makes Philip an interesting target. Scroll down a little further. Okay, so let's continue. So step 3. He is an active member of this site with very recent activity, and he is sharing his personal album with what might be a friend. Okay, so let's continue to step 4. You can see that Philip is married, noticing the type of clothes on the wedding date, background location of the wedding, and if work employees were invited might be the pointers for information gathering. Comments on the page indicate that two friends, John and Alexis, are close enough to Philip to comment on his pictures. Moreover, their comments indicate a possibility of a baby. Scroll down a little bit further. Okay, so moving on to step 5. Interestingly, Philip's car has broken down. This might be a very useful piece of information for the attacker. The attacker could begin impersonating Philip's personal life by contacting the car garage about the vehicle. Okay, click the About tab. Okay, let's click on the About tab. Hold on, I'm just gonna go scroll up. Then let's click About. Philip has included his phone number, date and birth, and where he was educated, key information used by attackers to gain the confidence of personnel who might be performing in security checks. One of the most common questions used during security checks is what is your date of birth? Now we have a legitimate answer to respond with. If Philip was real, we could also begin to search Oxford University for personal information. So step 7, scroll down further until you see details of his work. Experiences. So his past working experiences includes HP and Costa. Again, we could search the HP site to see what details come up about Philip. It might lead an attacker to more useful information to convince an IT department that Philip needs his password changed, and can they do that for him? Another piece of the puzzle is a possible home location base in Kingston upon Thames. Often mobile software populates image of or post with the details of the user's location at the time of posting. Now step 8, now click on the album tab. Notice Notice here that Philip's job title has developed. It has it has him listed as a creative director who worked in front end software design. Director role means some very important things. Philip has access to important resources and information. His passwords are likely to provide admin level or root level access to domains or servers full of data that can be very useful to corporate spies. Okay, so in step 9, scroll down further to explore the shared album. Okay, from the album, you can infer that he enjoys going to raves, scenic views, and possibly has a small dog. Again, a classic secure question asked is what is was the name of your first dog or cat. Additionally, many people use their pet names as their passwords and dates of birth for passwords or pins. Okay, moving on to step 10. Now click the Friends tab. Okay, here we can see that Philip has a few contacts on which some could be worth learning more about. Notice that Sophia Lee is a student at Oxford, meaning it is possible that they attended university at the same time as each other. Robert Cook is a photographer, which might mean that he has more interesting photos of Philip's life, providing more insight into the type of person he is, giving away characteristics that to be used when impersonating him. So moving on to step 11. Now scroll down further to explore Philip's friends. Here we can see Linda, who is also a software engineer. Software engineer that might work with Philip. Additionally, we see James, who is the CEO of a company called IT Farm. He could have a working relationship that might be useful to learn more about in terms of the types of work performed and what access Philip has to IT farm. Okay, so moving on. The next stage used by an attacker is to request a friendship, usually by setting up a fake account with information that might trick Philip into accepting it, like pretending to work at IT Farm and using that as an excuse to get Philip to access a friendship link. The purpose, of course, is to gain information that leads to a possible email phishing attack against the CEO of IT firm, James Carter, or the two social engineering the IT HR department of Google to get them change Philip's password, therefore providing them access. Okay, on learn about the zero day. The problem with a vulnerability is that if it is discovered before the software companies do, it is prone to a zero-day attack. The software company then tries to release a patch on the same day to minimize the impact of the vulnerability. A number of security measures are taken when a software product is developed, but it still could have some security loopholes. An attacker takes advantage of these loopholes by exploiting and gaining unauthorized loopholes are unknown to developers of a software product. Such as loopholes are noticed only when software system is attacked. When a software system is attacked, developers of the software analyze the attack and then try to find out how the attacker gained access. As a result to this analysis, a security loophole is discovered. The day when the loophole is discovered is called the zero day. Once a loophole is discovered, software developers begin to search for a solution. Once the developers manage to find the solution, they pass it on to the other users. Considering the loophole mitigation sequence, the software system is most vulnerable. Zero day. The reason for this is that the solution will not be readily available, and the loophole would exist on the software system that is present with the users. The likelihood of a particular loophole being exploited by an attacker reduces as time goes by because users begin to apply the solution for that particular loophole. So learn about man in the middle attack. In a man in the middle, which is in short MITM, attack, the malicious attacker if eavesdrops into a conversation between two parties or system and gets real-time access to the information being exchanged. The attacker can intercept and manipulate the data being exchanged between the two parties or computer system in real time without either party being aware of it. An example could be a customer filling in their personal details for online purchases. The MITM attacker could be eavesdropping between the customer and the eavesdrop store and collecting all the confidential information about the customer. The MITM attacker could misuse the information for any malicious purpose. Methods used to relay traffic through an attacker controlled devices where the traffic flows can intercept or altered. This attack is commonly used to evade authentication and intercept encrypted traffic where the attacker can negotiate encrypted TLS sessions using the target certificates. In this type of attacks, the attacker actually acts like a proxy. All the information being exchanged between two parties is exchanged through the attacker. Once the attacker has intercepted the information, he may use it and not forward it further, or simply alters it or views it, lets it go to the recipient party. In this process of capturing, viewing, and altering the information, the attacker is invisible. One of the interesting methods that some of the attackers may use is to deploy an able router and capture information. Let's assume that you are in a cafe and you connect to a free wireless router which is deployed by the attacker. You connect with one of your friends and start chatting. The attacker is now capable of capturing this information and alter the messages that you are sending to your friend. This type of wireless router is called the able router. This attack affects networks that use public key encryption as users. 6. User B's public key to initiate communication. A hacker intercepts the user request from A for the public key. After intercepting the request, the attacker sends his or her key to user A. After receiving information from user A, the hacker re-encrypts it and sends it to user B along with his or her public key, which user B assumes to be from user A. Functioning this way as a middleman helps the hacker maintain communication. Learn about the brute force attack. The brute force method is an affiliable method of cracking a password. Let us ta- Let us take a simple example to understand this. Let's say that a password has to be 6 characters long and can use any letter in any of the 6 places for simplicity. In this example, the case upper or lower of the letter does not make difference. Now the possible number of combination would be 26 times 26 times 26 times 26 times 26 times 26 is equals to this. Trying all these combinations will be practically impossible for a human being, but not for a computer, even if the password is long, a highly complex with some special characters alongside the letters and numbers. A computer system can use brute force, try all possible combination, and eventually crack the password. In this type of attack, the hacker tries out all the possible combinations of the encryption key until they find the, find the one that matches. So it if a 10-bit encryption key is used, the hacker who already knows the encryption algorithm between use and has the encrypted information tries out all the possible 10 to 24 combination. One of these key is bound to fit which will give access to data. In this method, the attacker uses every possible combination of characters to retrieve a password. The attacker uses a tool to crack a password and tries every possible combinations of letters, numbers, and special characters. This method can be extremely time consuming depending on the length of com- complexity of of the password. The brute force method is considered to be an available method of cracking passwords. There are a number of tools that can be used by an attacker to initiate the brute force attack. For example, Lovecraft. Learn about the dictionary attack. Dictionary attacks do not work if passwords use combinations of letters, numbers, and special characters. The brute force method is required for such complex passwords. However, all modern passwords authenticate authentication systems are programmed to not allow more than a certain number of attempts for the login. Hence, with the complex passwords, the probability of cracking is extremely low. Dictionary attacks are attempted by an attacker with the assumption that the passwords are based on dictionary words The attacker enters every word from a dictionary as the input to the password cracking tool. So when the attacker initiates the attack, they use a dictionary-based list to crack the password. Every word in the dictionary is entered until a match is found. Once the password match is found, it is exposed to the attacker. Learn about the rainbow table. A rainbow table is a pre-computed table that an attacker uses to reverse cryptographic hashes which are captured from a local remote system. A rainbow table takes the hashes as the inputs and then the plain text password is matched. Rainbow tables can be quick in matching the password from the hashes. Other than the tools available, there are numbers of websites that offer this as free or commercial service. Some websites also offer rainbow tables as a commercial product to decrypt passwords. Learn about the spoofing attack. Spoofing is an act of using false identity by spoofing a person or a program can perform malicious activities like gaining unauthorized access. Spoofing is performed to take advantage to the situation, thus benefiting the attacker. Spoofing is performed in a number of ways. Below are some examples. Common spoofing examples are IP spoofing, ARP spoofing, DNS spoofing, email spoofing, and MAC spoofing. Internet safety guidelines below are some of the precautions that user can take while using the internet. Protect your system with security applications such as anti-malware and firewall. Avoid using open wireless connections as the information shared over them can be intercepted with tools such as Wireshark. Wireshark use a strong complex password. Avoid using the same password on multiple websites. If the password and username used on the hacked websites are also used on multiple online websites, this could result in further misuse of your data. Use a spam filter. Avoid clicking a URL in an email from an unknown sender. Learn to distinguish between real and phishing emails. Keep your system applications and antivirus programs updated. While browsing the internet, use a secure virtual private network, which is in short VPN connection. VPN provides a secure browsing environment by establishing encrypted connections between a private and public network. So that's the end of this page over here. Okay, moving on to our next topic. So this is exercise 2, implementing anti-malware practices. Most operating systems have built-in anti-malware programs that may help to ward off irritants such as a virus, a malicious code, unwanted email messages, and spyware. These irritants can be a waste of time for the user, while some of them might lead to a system malfunction resulting in data or business loss. As new malware is released on a daily basis, it is good to keep the anti-malware application updated all the time. Most of these applications can perform an automatic update without user intervention. You should also see the possibility of configuring the application to perform an auto-scan. In this exercise, you will implement some of the anti-malware practices such as updating a built-in anti-malware application, using online scanners, and implementing built-in security features. To get a better understanding of this technology, please refer to your course material or use your preferred search engine to research this topic in more detail. So, learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you will be able to use the Windows Defender. Next one is use an online anti-malware scanner. Explore the Internet Explorer browser security features. So moving on, or your devices, you will be using the following devices in this lab. So please power on this now. So the first one is PLA-BDC01. So let's power it. So as you can see, it's already powered on. So the meaning of it is Windows Server 2012 R2 domain controller. And the next one is PLAB Win10 Windows 10 domain member. Okay, so it's already powered on as well. Then the last one is PLAB Wins 801. Okay, so this is it. So let's power it. Windows 8.1 domain member. Okay, so task one, the use Windows Defender. So Windows Defender is the built-in anti-malware software in Windows to keep malware at bay. You must keep this software on your computer updated with the latest signatures. In this task, you will update the Windows Defender. So step one, ensure that you have powered on the devices mentioned in the introduction to the exercise. So first one is connect to PLAB 110. Okay, so I'm already connected to PLAB 110. So click the start charm to invoke the start screen. Okay, my apologies. This is the wrong one. So let's just X this. Okay, I'm connected to PLA Win 801. So this is the correct server. Okay, let's just wait for it to load. Okay, so let's look at this start chart. Okay, so on step 3. Okay, first of all, let's copy Defender and go search for Defender. On the search flyout menu, select the Windows Defender. Okay, so moving on. So note here is you may also see the settings screen. It appears closed if you will require it later on. Okay, so step 3. Click the close to any Defender pop-ups. So on the home page, in the virus and spyware definitions section, notice that the number of days since the definitions were created, the older the signature, the more outdated it is, and hence higher that is to your computer. This number of days ago, the definitions were created will differ in your lab environment. To scan your PC, click Scan Now. Okay, moving on to step 4. On your PC is being scanned screen, Windows Defender starts the scan of the system for malware. The scanning may take a little while to complete. Okay, so moving on to step 5. After the scan is completed, click the Update tab. Before we do that, let's just wait for it to finish loading. Okay, so after the scan is completed, click the Update tab. Okay, so moving on with the topic. Step 6, on the Update tab, click the Update Definitions. Okay, moving on to step 7. The update process starts and will take a few minutes to complete. Okay, so it's finished up updating. So when the update is completed, click the Settings tab. Okay, so step 9. On the Settings tab from the left pane, select Excluded Files and Locations and click Browse in the right pane. Then click Browse. Okay, so moving on to step 10, the Windows Defender dialog box is displayed. You can select the files to exclude from the scan. From the stash, expand the local DC and select perp logs and click OK. Okay, on step 11, the C perf logs folder is added in the file location section. So click add to exclude it from the scan. Okay, moving on to step 12, the C perf logs folder is now excluded from the scan. Click save changes. Okay, so on step 13, on the Windows Defender window, you are now on the settings tab. Click home tab. Okay, so on step 14, in the scan options section, select custom and click scan now. Okay, moving on to step 15, the Windows Defender dialog box is displayed. On the select the drives and folders you want to scan sections and expand local disk. C. Expand Windows and then select System32. Okay, so let's expand local disk C. Okay, so let's expand Windows. Let's look for System32. Okay, so here's System32. Let's click the checkbox and let's hit OK. Okay, moving into step 16. The scan of the selected folder begins. So the scan will take a few minutes to complete. Okay, so let's wait for it to load, to finish loading rather. So note, if a malware is detected, you will be asked to quarantine, delete, or clean it. If you leave malware in your system, the chances are that either you will end up with a system crash or data will be impacted. For example, stolen or deleted different malware can behave differently and therefore symptoms will vary. It is good to scan your system on a daily basis or put it on auto scan mode. Okay, I'm just gonna pause the recording and wait for it to finish loading. Okay, so it finished loading. So once the scan completes, view the results. Notice the notification showing PC status potentially unprotected on the top. We will fix this in the next steps. Okay, so let's click clean PC. Okay, so moving on to step 19. Please wait while the potential threats are being removed. Okay, so step 20, click close. On task 2, use an online anti-malware scanner. In addition to anti-malware programs installed locally on a computer, you can use free online antivirus scanners to check your system for suspicious activities. In this task, you will download the Microsoft Safety Scanner and use it to scan the system. Okay, saying here, web page appearance may change and URL links may become outdated. You can use your search engine to find out other online anti-malware scanners. So step 1, connect to PLA V110. Okay, so type the following in the type here to search text box. Okay, so let's fix that. Okay, so in Internet Explorer, select Internet Explorer from the best match section. Okay, so step 2, the Internet Explorer windows is displayed. In the address bar, type the following URL. Okay, so let's paste it. So okay, press enter. So note, if the URL indicated above did not work, use your search engine to search for Microsoft Online Safety and Security. Okay, we already clicked the 64 one. Okay, so let's click run. Okay, moving on to step 5. The file download starts. After the download is completed, you will be prompted to the user control. So click yes. Okay, so moving on step 6, the end user's license agreement page appears. Select the accept all terms of the proceeding license agreement and click yes. And click next. Okay, step 7, Microsoft Safety Scanner Wizard is displayed. On the web, welcome to the Microsoft Safety Scanner page. Click next. Okay, moving on to step 8. On the scan type page, keep the default selection, quick scan, and click next. So we already did that in advance. Okay, step 9. On the scanning your computer page, the scanning progress is displayed. This will take around 2 to 3 minutes to complete. So let's just wait for it to load. Okay, so it's done loading. Okay, on step 10, after the scan is completed on the scan results page, view the result and click finish when done. Okay, moving on to task 3, explore the Internet Explorer browser security features. Most web browsers have evolved and are now capable of offering features such as filters to battle malware, pop-up blockers to safety privacy, digital certificates for secure websites, and many more. In this task, you will explore some of the security features of the Internet Explorer browser. So step 1, ensure that you are connected to PLA V110 and Internet Explorer is open. Okay, so let's click on PLA V110. Press the Alt key to expose the top menu. Okay, so let's just push the Alt to continue to display. Okay, so expose the top menu if already not visible. Click Tools and then select Manage. Manage add-ons. So let's look for the Manage add-ons. Okay, so here is Manage add-ons. Let's click it. Okay, so in step 2, from the Manage add-ons dialog box in the add-on type section, select tracking protection. Okay, so moving on to step 3, on the details pane at the right, notice that your personalized list is listed as disabled. Okay, select the list of the and click enable. Okay, so as you can see, it's already enabled. Okay, so let's continue to our topic. Okay, so step 4. Notice that your personalized list is now enabled, so let's just click close. Okay, so step 5. Ensure that the menu bar at the top of, of the browser is visible by pressing the Alt key. Click Tools, select Pop-up Blocker, and then select Pop-up Blocker Settings. Okay. Okay, so moving on to step 6. In the Pop-up Blocker Settings dialog box, click in the address of website to allow box and type the following URL. Okay, so let's click add. Okay, moving on to step 7. Then the URL is now added to the allowed site section. Okay, so click close after adding http://practicelabs.com. Okay, so on step 8, on the menu bar at the top, click to select Smart Screen Filter. Okay, so let's click on check this website. Okay, so step 9, the Smart Screen dialog box prompts you that website addresses will be sent to Microsoft to be checked against a list of unsafe websites. Click OK. Okay, on step 10, Smart Screen dialog box reports no threats were detected. Oh, so click OK to close the dialog box. Okay, so moving on to step 11. On the menu bar at the top, click Tools and select ActiveX Filtering. Okay, so let's just push out to show the tools and select ActiveX Filtering. Okay, so moving on. Step 12, Alt to display the menu. Okay, once again, go to Tools and notice that the ActiveX is checked. As you can see here, it's marked blue on the check. Okay, on step 13, press Alt to display the menu. Hold on. Okay, press Alt to display the menu, click Tools, and then select In Private Browsing. In private browsing mode ensures that no private data is left after the browsing session is over. Okay, so step 14. In the in private is turned on page is displayed. The in private mode is marked by the in private label adjacent to the URL bar. On step 15, now type the following URL. Okay, so let's copy paste as a shortcut. So, okay, press enter. Notice that the padlock icon that appears to the left in the URL bar. Okay, so the padlock sign appears for secure websites. Secure websites implement data encryption to ensure secure data exchange. So click on the padlock for a brief security report on the site. Okay, so let's just click it. Okay, so here we can see the website has been signed by Digicert. Okay, so moving on. Okay, click on View Certificates link to view details of the digital certificate issued to the website. Okay, moving on to step 17. Security information is displayed listing. Details such as issued to, issued by, and the validity dates. Okay, so click OK to close the certificate dialog box. Close the in private browsing window. Keep the Internet Explorer window open. Okay, so we're done. Hit this page. So moving on to exercise 3. Running an anti-spyware application. Okay, anti-spyware programs are designed to detect spyware in your system, which cannot be detected with a usual antivirus program. Spyware is a malware that silently sits inside your system and collects your private information. Moreover, some spyware might install additional software without your knowledge or redirect your web browser to an unwanted website. To get a better understanding of this technology, please refer to your course material or use your preferred search engine to research this topic in more detail. So, learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you will be able to install anti-spyware. Then the next one is run super anti-spyware. Then your devices. You will be using the following devices in this lab, so please power on now. So first one to power on is Pillay BT601. As you can see, it's already powered on. Okay, so then the next one is Pillay B10, Windows 10 domain number. Okay, so task 1, install anti-spyware. An anti-spyware can be independent program or part of a security suite. An anti-spyware can detect the spyware either using the rule-based methods or by using the latest definition files. In this task, you will install the Super Anti-Spyware pre-edition on your computer. So step 1, ensure you are connected to PLAB Win 10 and the Internet Explorer Windows is displayed. So download the Super Anti-Spyware. Okay, so moving on to step 2. The download in progress page appears. Bottom of the screen, click Save. Apologies, I'm just gonna fix this for a better angle. Okay, so moving on with our topic. So click step 3. Once the download complete notification appears, click the Open Folder button. Okay. Okay, so step 4. Double click the Super Anti-Spyware file. When when prompted by the security warning, click Run. When prompted by the user account control, click Yes. Okay, step 5 on the Welcome to Super Anti-Spyware Pre-Edition Installation Wizard page of the Super Anti-Spyware Pre-Edition Setup Wizard, click Next. Okay, step 6 on the License Agreement page, read the license agreement and click I agree. Okay, so on step 7, on the Super Anti-Spyware Recommends Google Chrome page, deselect the following options. Chrome along with. Okay, so this is just need to deselect this. So let's just click next. Okay, on step 8, on the user information and registration page, keep the default selection and click next. Okay, so in step 9, on the destination folder page, keep the default installation path and click next. Okay, step 10, on the install progress page, the installation page is tracked. Step 11, after the installation view, you are automatically navigated to the email page. For the time being, skip the page by clicking next. Okay, so step 12, on the Super Anti-Spyware configuration page, keep the default selection and click next. On step 13, on the Super Anti-Spyware pre-edition has been successfully installed page, click finish. Okay, moving on to step 14, the Super Anti-Spyware professional trial dialog box is now displayed, so click start trial. Okay. Okay, so in step 15, on the Super Anti-Spyware Professional X Edition dialog box, click OK. Moving on to step 16, Super Anti-Spyware application will close for a moment and then reopen. After starting the trial, Super Anti-Spyware may start the malware database update. The update screen will not be displayed if the downloaded installer contains the latest updated database. Okay, so moving on to task 2, run Super Anti-Spyware. After Super Anti-Spyware is installed, you can run it to detect the spyware on your computer. The application offers features such as different types of scan scheduling, automatic system scans, and setting up auto updates. The application updates the malware definition database before it starts scanning the computer. In this task, you will run the Super Anti-Spyware application to scan your computer. Step 1, ensure that you are connected to PLEB Win10. So next one is you are on the main screen of the Super Anti-Spyware now. Okay, so as you can see here. Okay, on step 2, on the scan screen, click Scan Quick Scan. Okay. Okay, so moving on to step 3, the quick scan now starts. So it may take a while for the scan to finish. So let's just leave it be. Okay, so on step 4, after the scan is finished, notice that the two items have been detected. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so moving on to the topic. So let's just click OK. So notice that scan finish. Notice that the two items have been detected. So step 5, click continue. Okay, so we're back. So on the main screen, let's go to step 8. You are back to the main screen. Super anti-spyware. So close the anti-spyware dialog box. So close File Explorer. Okay, so moving on to the next page. Okay, so that's the last thing. So okay, so thank you. That's it for our video.